I'm gonna say LeBron James. And you know what? Let the debate begin. And I don't give a rat's ass if they do. I just telling you who I would like. That's all.
I said that LeBron will. I find him to be the most talented player I've ever seen in NBA history. Got a problem with that statement by me?
Well, you sound like he's threatening me.
No, I'm not threatening you. I'm.
How you said it.
Karl Malone just dragged the GOAT conversation right back into the spotlight, and his perspective on LeBron James is exactly the kind of basketball opinion that can turn a quiet room into a full-blown debate. Malone, a two-time MVP and Hall of Famer, has spent his entire career around conversations about greatness. So when someone with that resume speaks on LeBron James and Michael Jordan, people are naturally going to listen a little closer. This isn't some random social media account throwing out a controversial opinion just to chase attention. Malone is widely regarded as one of the greatest power forwards the NBA has ever seen, which gives his perspective a completely different level of credibility. But this is also where the story needs some context. There have been dramatic versions of this discussion circulating online that make it sound like Malone delivered one huge televised attack on LeBron. Unless there's a verified video or transcript confirming those exact statements, we shouldn't treat that version of the story as established fact. What we can discuss is Malone's established basketball philosophy, along with the arguments fans continue to make when evaluating LeBron's place among the greatest players ever. And that's where things get interesting. What qualities does Malone actually prioritize when deciding who belongs in that conversation? Why do championships, loyalty, competition, and mentality continue to become major talking points whenever LeBron and Jordan are placed side by side? And how can one opinion from an NBA legend instantly send both sides of the GOAT debate into full battle mode? For well over a decade, basketball fans have heard arguments coming from every direction about LeBron James. One side believes LeBron belongs at the very top of the all-time rankings, with some fans arguing that he has already moved ahead of Michael Jordan. The other side still points directly to Jordan's 6 championships and 6 Finals MVP awards as the strongest evidence that LeBron hasn't closed that gap. No matter which side you're on, the conversation has become so intense that challenging either position can get you labeled a hater before you even have the opportunity to explain your argument. Just turn on a sports program or scroll through basketball social media and you'll see the debate playing out everywhere. LeBron has been called the king, the GOAT, a generational talent, and one of the most dominant athletes the sport has ever produced. And LeBron himself has embraced that larger-than-life identity throughout his career. Long before he entered the NBA, he was famously presented as the chosen one on a Sports Illustrated cover while still a teenager, and later had those words tattooed across his back. Then came 2010, when LeBron announced during a live television special that he would leave Cleveland and take his talents to Miami. Very few athletes in modern sports have had their career decisions examined as intensely as LeBron. Every decision, every finals appearance, every teammate, and every major loss has been dissected from every possible angle. That's exactly why Malone's perspective can carry extra significance. Before getting too deep into the actual argument, you have to understand the resume of the person offering the opinion. Karl Malone isn't simply another retired player giving his thoughts from the sidelines. He's a 2-time NBA MVP, an 11-time All-NBA first-team selection, and a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame. When he finished his career, Malone had accumulated 36,928 regular season points, making him the NBA's second leading scorer at that time. So when Malone discusses the qualities he believes separate true all-time greats from everybody else, fans are naturally going to pay attention. And when you combine that resume with Malone's broader ideas about what greatness actually means, this LeBron versus Jordan debate suddenly becomes a whole lot more interesting.
You can feel it. You can feel it just oozing out. Yeah.
Who would you rather have as a teammate? Jordan or LeBron? Or LeBron?
You got a man. Hold on. Do you have a man crush on Michael Jordan today? What's the deal here? I don't know. I'm just asking that question here. Hold on. Do Dan Patrick, my friend, my buddy, have a...
Malone has consistently spoken with respect about Michael Jordan, and he has made it clear that he values players who are willing to compete when things get difficult. That immediately brings one of the biggest questions in the LeBron James debate into focus. How much should championships, team changes, and the circumstances surrounding those decisions influence an all-time ranking? That's really where this entire argument begins. Ask a former NBA star whether LeBron is the greatest ever, and a lot of them will take the careful route. You'll usually hear something along the lines of, "He's definitely in the conversation." They'll also point out that comparing different eras is extremely difficult. And honestly, that's a completely reasonable position. Jordan and LeBron played in different periods, under different rules, against different opponents, with completely different styles of play. But even the safest answer in the world isn't enough to stop basketball fans from arguing. The real fire starts when everybody pulls out the resume. LeBron has 4 NBA championships after appearing in 10 finals. Jordan went to 6 finals and won all 6, collecting 6 finals MVP awards along the way. Those numbers are undeniable, but the meaning people attach to them is where the battle starts. Jordan supporters view the perfect finals record as the clearest possible evidence of dominance. LeBron supporters counter that simply making 10 finals is an extraordinary accomplishment, and that basketball is still a team sport. Even so, that 6-0 record remains one of the hardest arguments for the Jordan side to overcome. Jordan reached the championship round 6 different times, won every single series, and never had to play a Game 7 in the finals. That kind of run is almost impossible to duplicate, which is a major reason so many former players continue to rank him first. Then you get to the subject that has probably created more tension around LeBron's legacy than almost anything else: his decisions to change teams. In 2010, LeBron left Cleveland and joined Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami, immediately creating one of the most powerful and talked about rosters in the league. Eventually, he went back to Cleveland, where the Cavaliers added Kevin Love to a core that included LeBron and Kyrie Irving. Later, in Los Angeles, Anthony Davis became his championship-level running mate with the Lakers. Critics look at that career path and argue that LeBron repeatedly had to change situations in order to put himself in position to win. That's the simple version of the argument, and it resonates with fans who believe the greatest players should stay with one organization, endure the difficult years, and build a dynasty without constantly changing teams. LeBron supporters obviously see it differently. They point out that player movement has always existed in the NBA, and that changing teams doesn't make actually performing under pressure any easier. Then there's 2011, the final series that LeBron's critics continue to bring up whenever the GOAT conversation gets serious. Miami entered that finals with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, but Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks defeated the Heat in 6 games. LeBron averaged only 17.8 points during the series, a huge drop from his normal production, and his 8-point performance in Game 4 became one of the most heavily criticized games of his career. For Jordan supporters, that series is often used as evidence in the mentality argument. Their point is that whenever Jordan reached the biggest stage, he repeatedly found a way to finish the job. LeBron supporters respond that one disappointing finals cannot erase more than 2 decades of elite basketball, 4 championships, 4 finals MVP awards, 4 regular season MVPs, and the NBA's all-time scoring record. And that is exactly why this debate refuses to die. Saying LeBron isn't your GOAT is one thing. Acting like he isn't among the greatest players basketball has ever produced is something completely different. Even his harshest critics have to account for the enormous list of accomplishments attached to his career. So the real issue becomes this: what do you value most when deciding greatness? Is it longevity, overall production, versatility, and sustained excellence? Or is it winning at the highest level, with a peak defined by championship perfection and dominance? Malone's perspective fits directly into that disagreement. If your ranking system puts championships, competitive mentality, and Jordan's flawless finals record above everything else, then LeBron has a major obstacle in front of him. But if you put greater emphasis on longevity and maintaining an elite level for an unprecedented amount of time, LeBron's argument becomes much more powerful. And that tension is exactly what keeps this conversation alive, which is why even one opinion from a legendary former player can send NBA fans into complete chaos. But this is where the story gets even more complicated. The moment Malone's name enters the GOAT debate, everything spreads across the internet. Clips, supposed quotes, reactions, and alleged interview moments can move across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at incredible speed, sometimes before anyone bothers to verify where they actually came from. LeBron supporters immediately push back. Jordan supporters jump into the conversation, and within minutes, everyone seems to have chosen a side. But there's an important detail that can't be ignored. Some of the most explosive Karl Malone quotes circulating online are difficult to verify as exact statements from one specific televised interview. So rather than putting words in Malone's mouth, the stronger way to approach this is to focus on the basketball facts and the legitimate arguments surrounding them, and those facts are already enough to create a serious debate. Start with LeBron's finals resume: 4 championships in 10 appearances. His supporters view those 10 trips as evidence of remarkable consistency, durability, and sustained excellence. Critics look at the 6 losses and immediately compare them to Michael Jordan's 6 titles in 6 finals appearances. The numbers are identical on paper, but the interpretation couldn't be more different. Then you look at Jordan's resume, and that's where the argument becomes even harder to dismiss. 6 finals appearances, 6 championships, 6 finals MVP awards. For fans who measure greatness primarily through championship success at the highest point of a player's career, that is essentially the gold standard.
LeBron's supporters respond by pointing out that he reached the finals 10 times, including 8 consecutive appearances from 2011 through 2018, and they argue that achievement shouldn't somehow be treated as a negative. Then comes the eye test, and that's when basketball conversations can really become heated. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant developed reputations for wanting the biggest shots when games were on the line. They became symbols of that fearless, late-game scoring mentality. Critics sometimes argue that LeBron has been more willing to make the extra pass in those moments,
while his supporters say that giving the ball to an open teammate is simply smart basketball and not evidence of fear. And then someone brings up the 2011 finals, and suddenly the entire conversation changes. Miami entered that season with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, which created enormous expectations from the beginning. But Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks beat the Heat in 6 games. LeBron averaged 17.8 points per game in the series, and his 8-point performance in Game 4 remains one of the most criticized playoff games of his career. To LeBron's critics, that series is Exhibit A. Their argument is simple. If you're going to call somebody the greatest player ever, how can they struggle that badly on the biggest stage? His defenders have an equally clear response. LeBron eventually recovered from that failure, won 4 championships, earned 4 Finals MVP awards, and delivered numerous historic playoff performances afterward. That's why the 2011 Finals matter. But they don't automatically define a career that has lasted more than 2 decades. Then we get back to the team-switching argument, and this one has followed LeBron for years. His career includes Cleveland, Miami, a return to Cleveland, and then Los Angeles. In Miami, he teamed up with Wade and Bosh. Back in Cleveland, he played alongside Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. With the Lakers, he eventually formed a championship-level duo with Anthony Davis. Critics compare that to Jordan spending his championship years in Chicago and argue that the GOAT should elevate one organization rather than repeatedly changing situations. But saying Jordan succeeded without significant help from Scottie Pippen goes too far. Pippen became a Hall of Fame player himself, and Jordan also played under elite coaching while surrounded by strong championship-caliber rosters. That's what makes this discussion much more complicated than a few viral one-liners. The statistics are real, but the surrounding context matters too. Jordan's 6-0 finals record is real. LeBron's 4-6 finals record is real. LeBron making 10 finals is also real. The disagreement is about how much value should be assigned to each accomplishment, and social media has a way of turning those differences into complete chaos. One side points toward the rings. The other highlights longevity, total production, versatility, and LeBron becoming the NBA's all-time leading scorer. Then someone brings up Jordan's perfect finals record, and suddenly everybody is right back arguing from opposite corners. Claims that LeBron supposedly went silent because Malone said something that struck a nerve should also be treated carefully. Unless LeBron himself directly responds to a particular Malone statement, his silence doesn't prove anything. Maybe he disagrees. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he simply doesn't believe every GOAT debate deserves his attention. The same principle applies to vague comments from other former players. Someone liking a post or mentioning championship mentality doesn't automatically mean they're secretly taking a shot at LeBron unless they actually say that's what they're doing. Turning every vague comment into hidden beef might create entertaining content, but it can also turn speculation into something people start treating as confirmed fact. What this entire controversy really reveals is a much larger generational divide in how basketball greatness is judged. Older school fans often place enormous importance on championships, loyalty, physical toughness, and late-game scoring mentality. LeBron's generation tends to put more emphasis on longevity, efficiency, versatility, player movement, and maintaining dominance over a much longer period. Those two philosophies keep colliding, and that's where the generational divide becomes impossible to ignore. Plenty of fans who watched Michael Jordan dominate in the 1990s still view his 6 championships and 6 Finals MVPs as the ultimate benchmark. Younger fans who grew up watching LeBron often build their argument around something different: incredible longevity, historic scoring numbers, versatility, and 10 Finals appearances. 2 generations, 2 different definitions of greatness, and neither side seems willing to give an inch. That's exactly why Karl Malone's perspective gets people talking. His resume gives his basketball opinions real weight, but one former player's opinion still doesn't settle the GOAT conversation. And because some viral quotes attributed to Malone are difficult to verify, the strongest argument comes from comparing the information we actually know: Jordan's unmatched championship dominance versus LeBron's unprecedented longevity and production. Media personalities can debate it, former players can debate it, fans can argue about it all day long, but the numbers leave more than enough room for a legitimate fight. Jordan owns the perfect 6-0 finals record. LeBron has 4 championships, 10 finals appearances, 4 regular season MVPs, 4 finals MVPs, and the NBA's all-time scoring record. So which resume deserves the crown? That part is up to you. Drop your GOAT pick in the comments and explain why you believe your choice deserves the top spot. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and send this video to another basketball fan who's ready to argue this one out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.